Children don't lie the way adults do. They don't understand optics, they don't protect reputations, and they don't know how to edit reality so it looks acceptable to the outside world. Children simply reveal what they see, often without realizing how dangerous that truth can be. And yesterday morning, inside a quiet art classroom in Flagstaff, Arizona, a single drawing by 9-year-old Ariella Brown allegedly shattered the illusion that Kody Brown has spent years desperately trying to maintain. What was supposed to be an ordinary school day reportedly spiraled into something far more serious. Classroom doors locked, administrators shaken, a veteran teacher in tears, and authorities contacted under the most severe legal obligation a school can invoke. Not for misbehavior, not for bullying, but for something officials described as a concerning disclosure. Those two words are deceptively calm, but anyone who understands mandated reporting laws knows what they really mean. They mean a child said or showed something so alarming that the adults in charge had no legal choice but to act immediately. According to multiple accounts circulating through private parent groups connected to the school, Ariella's drawing depicted a sleeping mother who would not wake up, pill bottles scattered across the floor, and a sense of chaos that reportedly froze the room when she explained it. This wasn't imagination. This wasn't fantasy. This was a child translating her daily environment into pictures. And once that paper left her hands, the clock started ticking on a crisis that Kody Brown could no longer control. Within hours, whispers spread among parents. Police were allegedly seen in the principal's office. Children were removed quietly from the classroom. A suspension notice was reportedly sent to Robin Brown, not as punishment, but as a protective action while authorities were notified. That detail is critical because it changes the entire narrative. Ariella wasn't in trouble. The adults were. According to a leaked email that is still being verified, the school cited Arizona state law, explaining that due to the graphic nature of the artwork and the child's verbal explanation, they were legally required to notify the Department of Child Safety. This wasn't a fan making a phone call. This wasn't an online rumor. This was a mandated reporter, someone who faces criminal penalties if they fail to act. And once that call is made, it cannot be undone. CPS doesn't ask permission. They don't wait for press releases. They move fast, especially when the concern involves potential neglect, unsafe medication access, or emotional harm. And suddenly, everything viewers have questioned for years began to collide in a way no one expected. For seasons, fans have watched Robin Brown struggle. Constant exhaustion, extended periods of sleep, confusion during interviews, a reliance on help inside the home that never quite matched the public explanation. We were told it was stress. We were told it was illness. We were told it was the burden of being misunderstood. But a child's drawing reframes everything. Sleeping isn't frightening unless it's excessive. Sleeping isn't alarming unless a child can't wake you. And pill bottles don't appear in a 9-year-old's artwork unless they are part of her visual world. That is what reportedly terrified the teacher. That is what triggered the call. Because when a child draws medication scattered on the floor, that suggests access. And in the eyes of CPS, unsecured prescription drugs in a home with minors is not a warning sign. It's an emergency. It suggests an environment that may pose immediate danger. And according to sources close to the situation, once the report was filed, things inside the Brown household allegedly spiraled out of control. Kody Brown, according to multiple accounts, did not react calmly. He allegedly framed the situation as persecution, insisting that enemies and haters were orchestrating yet another attack on his family. It's a narrative he has relied on for years, one that works well with loyal followers and sympathetic audiences. But it does not work with social workers. CPS deals in patterns, not personalities. They deal in access, not excuses. And they do not care how famous you are. A child's drawing, paired with a verbal explanation, becomes evidence the moment a mandated reporter picks up the phone. And while Cody was reportedly shouting about conspiracies, something far more telling happened. Something that suggested even his own family no longer trusted him to handle what was unfolding. Late that night, neighbors in Flagstaff reportedly noticed a personal vehicle pulling into the Brown property. Not a production crew. not a friend dropping by. Two men stepped out, instantly recognizable to anyone who has followed this family's history closely. Hunter and Logan Brown had arrived. The sons who walked away. The sons who refused to play along. The sons who saw through the manipulation years ago and chose distance over obedience. They do not show up without reason. They have their own lives, their own careers, their own families. Logan is married, stable, and has long been the quiet backbone of his siblings. Hunter is a trained medical professional who understands pharmacology, sedation, and the signs of medical neglect in ways his father never could. Their presence alone changed the tone of the situation. This was no longer just a CPS inquiry. This was a family intervention. Witnesses claim the confrontation was immediate and intense. Cody reportedly stood defensive on the porch, arms crossed, posture closed, while Hunter gestured angrily toward the house. This wasn't a conversation. This was an accusation. And while Hunter confronted, Logan reportedly stayed calm, focused, glued to his phone. Anyone who knows Logan knows what that means. When Logan starts making calls, it's because someone else has failed. And as tension built outside the house, darker whispers began circulating. Whispers that connected the drawing, the pill bottles, and Robin's long-questioned health issues into a far more disturbing theory. Insiders now allege that the thyroid explanation may have been a cover, that the household may rely heavily on prescription sedatives to manage anxiety, paranoia, and control. And the most chilling rumor of all suggests that this sedation may not stop with Robin, that the children themselves may be chemically managed to keep the household quiet, compliant, and controllable. If even part of that allegation is true, CPS would have no choice but to escalate immediately. And then came the message that reportedly confirmed what many feared. A leaked text, allegedly sent by Robin to her daughters and accidentally including a niece, urged them not to answer the door, to pull Ariella out of school, and to begin homeschooling immediately. No more outsiders. That phrase alone sent chills through the community. Homeschooling is legal. So right. But when it happens immediately after a mandated report, it doesn't look like education. It looks like isolation. It looks like panic. And panic is often followed by flight. Because early the next morning, neighbors reportedly spotted something that turned concern into terror. A U-Haul truck backing up to the Brown residence. Quietly, urgently, before sunrise. You don't rent a U-Haul at dawn unless you're trying to move something fast. Furniture, or evidence. Pills can't be erased. Documents can't be talked away. And as the truck was allegedly loaded, reinforcements arrived. By the time the U-Haul allegedly rolled onto Highway 89, the situation had already crossed an invisible line, the kind you don't come back from once it's crossed. Because at that point, this was no longer about rumors or speculation or even public perception. This was about jurisdiction, custody, and the terrifying legal reality that follows when a child protection agency believes a family may be attempting to hide a child from oversight. In Arizona, a Level 1 CPS investigation does not wait politely. It assumes urgency. It assumes risk. And if the subject of that investigation begins moving assets, withdrawing children from school, or leaving the state, those actions are interpreted not as coincidence, but as intent. According to sources tracking the situation closely, this is exactly what investigators fear may be unfolding. The alleged homeschooling text, the sudden rental truck, and the timing of it all paint a picture of a family circling the wagons, convinced that isolation is their last line of defense. But isolation is also the first red flag CPS looks for when a home environment becomes unsafe. As night fell in Flagstaff, those closest to the Brown residence described an atmosphere thick with tension. Police scanners reportedly crackled with coded language. A welfare check was requested. Officers were dispatched. And yet, inside the house, the lights flickered inconsistently. Some rooms dark, others briefly illuminated as if someone were moving through them quickly, deciding what to take and what to leave behind. It's important to understand how CPS cases escalate, because this is where everything becomes irreversible. Once there is reasonable suspicion of neglect or endangerment, especially involving medication access or emotional harm, the agency is no longer looking for explanations. They are looking for compliance, cooperation, transparency, and any sign of evasion. Any attempt to delay interviews, remove children, or alter the environment only strengthens their case. This is why the presence of Hunter Brown is so significant. Hunter is not just an adult son. He is a trained nurse, someone who understands the difference between therapeutic medication and chemical restraint. He understands dosage, dependency, sedation cycles, and the physical signs of long-term benzodiazepine use. According to those who claim to have seen him that night, his demeanor was not emotional. It was clinical, observational, as if he were assessing a patient rather than confronting a parent. And that alone may have terrified Cody more than any CPS worker ever could. Cody has always relied on dominance, volume, and circular arguments to maintain control. But those tactics don't work on someone who understands medicine. You can't gaslight pharmacology. You can't argue with half-lives, pupil dilation, slowed cognition, or motor impairment. If Hunter suspected that Robin was not simply exhausted or ill, but chemically sedated, the implications would be devastating. And then there is the even darker theory that continues to circulate quietly, one that many find too disturbing to voice aloud. The idea that medication may have been used not only to manage Robin's anxiety, but to control the children's behavior as well. For years, viewers have noticed the stark contrast between Solomon and Ariella and the older Brown children. The older kids were loud, defiant, chaotic, and emotionally expressive. Solomon and Ariella, by contrast, have often appeared subdued, clingy, or erratic in bursts, periods of frantic energy followed by deep crashes. Fans once attributed this to personality differences. But now, in light of the drawing, the pill bottles, and the alleged verbal disclosure in that classroom, those old observations take on a chilling new context. If Ariella truly said something that suggested she herself feels sleepy, groggy, or confused, that alone would have triggered an emergency response. Because medicating a child without medical necessity is not just neglect. It is criminal. As the night deepened, another piece of the puzzle allegedly surfaced. Neighbors reported raised voices, words like unfit, negligence, and delusional echoing from the driveway. Hunter was reportedly furious, no longer attempting diplomacy. Logan, still calm, still methodical, was allegedly coordinating something quietly in the background. Logan has always been the architect of stability in this family. When he stepped away from Cody years ago, it wasn't out of rebellion, it was self-preservation. And now, according to sources, he may be positioning himself as something far more serious, a potential emergency placement. CPS prioritizes family placement whenever possible. And suddenly, the people Cody pushed away are the most qualified to step in. A medically trained brother, stable eldest son, two experienced mothers who have already raised children outside of Cody's control. The irony is brutal. The very people Cody labeled disloyal may now be the ones legally entrusted to protect his remaining minor children. Inside the house, Robin's condition remains the biggest unknown. According to the leaked suspension notice, the drawing depicted her. The concern centers around her. And yet, multiple insiders claim she has not been seen outside the home during this crisis. Is she asleep? Is she sedated? Is she overwhelmed and hiding? Or is she participating in the decision-making that appears to be unfolding at a dangerous pace? The alleged text message suggests fear, urgency, and a deep mistrust of outsiders. Don't answer the door. That instruction alone speaks volumes. Adults don't hide from authorities unless they believe something inside the house cannot withstand scrutiny. And CPS is trained to recognize that instinct immediately. Then there's the U-Haul. According to tracking data circulating online, the truck did not head toward a storage facility. It didn't circle back into town. It continued north, hugging the highway, heading toward Utah, toward Robin's old community, toward a cultural environment Cody may believe will protect him. But the law does not care about belief. Leaving the state during an active CPS investigation is not a loophole. It is a crime. Interference with child custody. If children are inside that vehicle, or in a follow car, the situation escalates beyond CPS into criminal territory. Law enforcement agencies coordinate across state lines. Alerts are issued quietly. Patrol cars are notified. And once a stop is made, everything changes. This is the moment where everything Cody has built begins to collapse under its own weight. The show, the image, the control, the narrative. If officers find unsecured medication, documents, or evidence supporting neglect or emotional harm, handcuffs become a real possibility. And if children are removed, they will not be returned quickly. CPS cases do not resolve in days. They take months, sometimes years. And they are conducted behind closed doors, away from cameras, away from spin, away from the court of public opinion Cody knows how to manipulate. This is a system he does not control. Back at the Flagstaff property, the dynamic reportedly shifted again when Janelle and Christine arrived. Their presence was not performative. There were no cameras, no producers, just mothers responding to instinct. Witnesses say they stood shoulder to shoulder with Hunter and Logan, forming a quiet but unmovable line at the edge of the property. This wasn't about confronting Cody. By the early hours of the morning, the story had taken on a life of its own, no longer confined to whispers among neighbors or speculation in private online groups. This was now a rapidly unfolding crisis with legal, emotional, and irreversible consequences. Because once a family under investigation appears to be leaving the jurisdiction, the narrative shifts instantly in the eyes of authorities. Stops being about concern and starts being about risk. Risk of flight. Risk of concealment. Risk of harm. And according to sources closely monitoring scanner traffic and public records, law enforcement was no longer treating this as a routine welfare check. Patrol units were alerted. Information was shared. A quiet but urgent awareness spread across agencies that something was wrong. Highway 89 is not just another road. Anyone familiar with the geography knows exactly what it represents. It is a direct artery out of Arizona, a route that bypasses cities and cuts through long, empty stretches of land where a vehicle can disappear for hours before anyone realizes it's gone. And if someone believed that crossing a state line would somehow reset the rules, that belief alone reveals desperation. Because CPS jurisdiction doesn't evaporate at the border. It follows the child. And if a parent knowingly removes a child from the state during an active investigation, the charge is no longer speculative. It becomes interference with custody, and in some cases parental kidnapping. That's the line investigators believe Cody may be approaching, whether he understands it or not. Inside the Brown household, the alleged urgency was palpable. Reports suggest rooms were being cleared selectively, not like a family preparing for a move, but like someone deciding what could and could not be seen by outsiders. This is where the U-Haul takes on a far more sinister implication. People don't rent a truck to move couches when their house hasn't sold. They rent one to move items they don't want cataloged. Medication, documents, personal journals. Anything that might corroborate a child's drawing. And that is exactly why investigators pay close attention to sudden environmental changes. CPS workers are trained to notice what's missing just as much as what's present. Empty shelves, recently cleaned floors, discarded packaging. These are not signs of innocence. They are signs of preparation. Meanwhile, outside the property, the standoff reportedly intensified. Hunter and Logan were no longer simply visitors. They were witnesses. And witnesses change everything. Because now there were adults present who were not under Cody's influence, not dependent on him financially, and not afraid of him emotionally. Hunter, in particular, represents something Cody has never been able to overpower. Objective expertise. A man who understands what sedation looks like not from rumor, but from clinical experience. A man who knows the difference between illness and impairment. According to sources, Hunter was watching closely, observing Robin's absence, noting patterns, listening more than he spoke. And that silence may have been louder than any argument. Because in critical care, silence usually precedes action. Then there is Logan, the quiet force in all of this. Logan does not escalate emotionally. He escalates procedurally. When Logan steps in, it's because he believes the system must be involved. And according to whispers circulating among those close to the family, Logan may already be in contact with individuals who can act quickly if CPS determines emergency placement is necessary. This is not speculation pulled from thin air. CPS almost always seeks kinship placement first. And suddenly, the very people Cody pushed away are the safest, most stable options available. A medically trained brother, a responsible eldest son, two experienced mothers who have already raised children without chaos. The power dynamic has flipped completely. As dawn approached, another unsettling detail emerged. The alleged homeschooling text was not just about education. It was about isolation. No more outsiders. That phrase echoes through every CPS training manual. Isolation is the breeding ground of abuse. When children are removed from schools, from doctors, from mandated reporters, the risk multiplies. And CPS knows this. That's why immediate withdrawal from school following a report often accelerates intervention rather than stopping it. If Ariella is pulled from that classroom, she loses her daily access to safety. And the system will move aggressively to prevent that. At the same time, questions about Robin's condition continue to loom. If the drawing reflects reality, then Robin is either incapacitated, medicated, or overwhelmed to the point of being unavailable to her children. And if Cody is the sole functioning adult in that home, his emotional instability becomes a factor. CPS evaluates the totality of the environment. One impaired caregiver plus one volatile caregiver equals risk. And that is before medication access or allegations of emotional violence are even considered. Which brings us back to the drawing itself. The detail that continues to haunt those who've heard the description is not just the pill bottles, but the depiction of daddy hurting mommy. Violence in a child's artwork doesn't have to mean a punch to be taken seriously. Children interpret shouting, looming, grabbing, and intimidation as harm. If Ariella witnessed an argument where Cody was trying to wake Robin from a sedated state, restraining her, shaking her, or screaming at her, that would register as violence in her mind. And CPS does not split hairs when a child reports fear. Fear alone is enough to act. As law enforcement vehicles reportedly moved closer to the property, the question shifted from whether Cody would cooperate to whether he could. If he was still inside the house, he would be required to answer the door. If he wasn't, that absence would be documented immediately. An empty house during a wellness check does not close a case. It opens a new one with far more severe implications. And if the U-Haul was already miles away, heading north, the timeline suddenly became critical. Minutes mattered. Miles mattered. Because once a vehicle crosses into Utah, coordination escalates to interstate communication, alerts, and potential detainment. Back at the property, witnesses describe a surreal scene. The people Cody spent years accusing of betrayal now standing as the last line of defense for his children. Janelle and Christine not shouting, not performing, but watching, waiting, prepared. They understand the stakes better than anyone. They have lived inside Cody's chaos. They know what isolation does. And they know that once a child is hidden, retrieving them becomes exponentially harder. Their presence alone sends a message. This will not be swept under the rug. Online public sentiment has reached a boiling point. This is no longer about reality TV entertainment. Viewers are calling for wellness checks, demanding transparency, urging authorities to act quickly. And while internet pressure alone does not dictate CPS decisions, attention matters. The more eyes on a case, the harder it becomes to quietly disappear.